You're eating less. You're trying to be disciplined. Maybe you're even fasting. And still, that belly fat doesn't move. Not a little. Not slowly. It just stays there. And after a while, a question starts to grow in your mind. What am I doing wrong? But what if the problem isn't your effort? And it's not your discipline either? What if the real reason you can't lose belly fat is something happening inside your body that no one ever explained to you? Because there's one condition that silently blocks fat loss, no matter how hard you try. And most people have it, without even knowing. It's called insulin resistance. And if this is happening in your body, losing belly fat becomes almost impossible. Let me explain why. Every time you eat, your body releases insulin. Insulin is not the enemy. It's essential. Its job is to take glucose from your bloodstream and move it into your cells, where it can be used for energy. But here's what happens over time. When your body is constantly exposed to high levels of sugar, refined carbohydrates, and frequent eating, your cells start to respond less and less to insulin. It's like they stop listening. And when that happens, your body compensates by producing more insulin. This is insulin resistance. Now here's where everything changes. When insulin is high, fat burning is turned off. Not reduced, not slowed, off. Because insulin is a storage signal. It tells your body, don't use stored energy. Store more. And this is exactly why belly fat becomes so stubborn. Even if you eat less, even if you fast, even if you try to do everything right, if insulin stays elevated, your body cannot access fat efficiently. And belly fat, in particular, is highly sensitive to insulin, which means it's the last place your body will let go. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but your belly fat just won't change? Like your body is resisting your effort? If that sounds familiar, then what you're about to understand next will change how you see fat loss completely. Because in the next part, we're going to break down how insulin resistance develops, how it silently blocks your metabolism, and why most people are trying to fix the symptom instead of the real cause. Now, let's go deeper, because understanding how insulin resistance develops is the key to finally breaking the cycle. This doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, quietly, over time. And most people don't notice it until the symptoms become impossible to ignore. It starts with constant exposure to food, not just what you eat, but how often you eat. Every time you eat, your body releases insulin. And if you're eating frequently, snacks, drinks, small bites throughout the day, insulin never really gets a chance to drop. Your body stays in a constant state of storage. Now add to that foods that spike insulin aggressively. Refined carbohydrates, sugar, ultra-processed foods. These create sharp rises in blood glucose, which require even more insulin to manage. And over time, your cells begin to resist that signal. They stop responding the way they used to. So your body does what it always does. It compensates. It produces more insulin. And now you're stuck in a loop. Higher insulin leads to more resistance, which leads to even higher insulin. And this is where belly fat begins to accumulate. Because when insulin is chronically elevated, your body is constantly being told to store energy, not to use it. Now here's the part most people don't realize. You don't need to be overweight to have insulin resistance. You don't need to look unhealthy. It can be happening silently, even in people who appear normal from the outside. And that's why so many people feel confused, because they look at their habits and think, I'm not doing anything extreme. But internally, the system is already dysregulated. Now let's talk about what this feels like. Because your body always gives signals. You just have to know how to read them. Constant cravings, especially for sugar or carbs. Energy crashes after meals. Feeling tired even after eating. Difficulty going long periods without food. And of course, stubborn belly fat that doesn't respond. These are not random. They are signs. Signals that your body is struggling to manage glucose and insulin effectively. Now let me ask you something important. Do you feel like you need to eat every few hours just to feel normal? Do you feel your energy drop quickly if you don't? Because that's not just hunger. That's a sign your body is dependent on constant glucose instead of being able to access stored fat. And this is exactly what we need to change. Because once your body becomes more sensitive to insulin again, everything shifts. Fat becomes accessible, energy becomes stable, cravings begin to fade, and your body finally starts working with you instead of against you. In the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how to reverse this process and what simple changes can restore insulin sensitivity so your body can finally start burning belly fat again. Now, let's fix the real problem. Because once you understand that insulin resistance is blocking your fat loss, everything changes. You stop focusing only on calories and start focusing on what actually controls fat burning. So here's how to reverse insulin resistance and finally unlock belly fat loss. Step 1. Reduce insulin spikes. This is the foundation. Every time insulin rises sharply, your body is pushed into storage mode. So the goal is simple. Keep insulin lower, more stable, for longer periods. And the easiest way to do that is by changing what you eat. Reduce refined carbohydrates. Reduce added sugars. Avoid ultra-processed foods that spike glucose quickly. Instead, build your meals around protein, healthy fats, and fiber. This slows down digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and reduces the need for large insulin releases. This one change alone can begin to restore insulin sensitivity. Step 2. Stop constant eating. This is one of the biggest drivers of insulin resistance. If you're eating every 2-3 hours, your body never gets a break. Insulin stays elevated all day, and fat burning never really begins. This is where intermittent fasting becomes powerful. Not because it's a trend, but because it creates space. Space for insulin to drop. Space for your body to switch into fat-burning mode. Start simple. 12 to 14 hours of fasting. Let your body adapt, then gradually extend if needed. But remember, it's not about forcing longer fasts. It's about giving your body time to reset. Step 3. Move your body. You don't need extreme workouts, but you do need movement. Because when your muscles are active, they use glucose more efficiently. This improves insulin sensitivity directly. Even simple walking can make a difference. Strength training is even more powerful because it increases your body's ability to store and use glucose properly. Step 4. Prioritize sleep. This is one of the most ignored factors. Poor sleep increases insulin resistance. It increases cravings. It disrupts your entire hormonal system, and it makes everything harder. So before trying to optimize everything else, make sure your sleep is working for you, not against you. Step 5. Manage stress. Because stress raises cortisol, and cortisol increases blood sugar, which leads to more insulin, and now you're back in the same cycle. This is why fat loss is not just physical, it's hormonal, it's systemic, and it requires balance. Step 6. Be consistent. This is where real change happens, not in extreme efforts for a few days, but in repeated patterns over time. Because your body needs consistency to become sensitive again, to trust the signals you're giving it. And here's what happens when you do this right. Your energy becomes stable. You stop thinking about food constantly. Cravings begin to fade, and slowly, your body starts to change. The belly fat that felt impossible to lose begins to respond, not because you forced it, but because you removed what was blocking it. In the final part, I'm going to show you the most common mistakes people make when trying to fix insulin resistance, and why those mistakes keep them stuck even when they think they're doing everything right. Now here's the part that most people never see coming. Because even after understanding insulin resistance, even after applying the right steps, many people still stay stuck, not because the method doesn't work, but because of small mistakes, repeated every single day, that quietly undo their progress. And if you don't recognize these patterns, you'll feel like your body is fighting you. The first mistake is trying to fix insulin resistance while still feeding it. This happens when people reduce sugar, but still rely heavily on refined carbohydrates. Bread, pasta, snacks that seem normal, but still create frequent insulin spikes. So even though you think you're improving, your body is still receiving the same signal: store energy, don't burn it. The second mistake is eating too often, even if the food is healthy. This is subtle, because you might be eating clean, but if you're eating constantly, insulin never drops. And without low insulin, fat burning doesn't happen. This is why meal timing matters just as much as food quality. The third mistake is using willpower instead of structure. You try to resist cravings, you try to push through hunger, but your environment stays the same. And eventually, your body wins. Because insulin resistance is not a discipline problem, it's a biological one, and it needs a structured solution. The fourth mistake is expecting fast results. This is where most people give up. Insulin resistance didn't develop in a few days. It developed over time, and reversing it also takes time. But here's what most people miss. The first changes are not visible. They're internal. Your energy stabilizes. Your hunger becomes more predictable. Your cravings decrease. These are the signs that your body is changing. But if you ignore them and only look at the scale, you might think nothing is happening. The fifth mistake is inconsistency. You follow the plan during the week, but not on weekends. You apply the structure for a few days, then break it. And your body never stabilizes. It never fully adapts. Because consistency is what allows insulin sensitivity to return. Without it, you stay in the same cycle. So let me ask you one final question. What if the reason you can't lose belly fat is not because your body is broken, but because insulin resistance has been silently controlling the system this whole time? Because now you can see it. You understand that fat loss is not just about eating less. It's about what your body is allowed to do. You understand that insulin is not the enemy, but when it stays elevated, it blocks everything. And once you bring it back into balance, everything starts to change. This is where control begins. If this changed the way you see your body, don't just move on. Apply it. Reduce the spikes. Create space between meals. Move your body. Protect your sleep. And most importantly, stay consistent long enough for your body to respond. If you want a simple structure to follow, I've created a step-by-step guide to help you restore insulin sensitivity and support real fat loss. You'll find it in the description below. Subscribe if you want to understand your body beyond trends. And finally, make fat loss work the way it should. And share this with someone who feels stuck, because sometimes the difference between frustration and real progress is just understanding what's actually happening inside your body. This is not just about belly fat, it's about fixing the system behind it. And once you fix the system, the results follow.